you're feeling overly stressed and overwhelmed in your life, the answer is not sit back and relax. The answer is take more action and see what happens. Every single no you receive is a step closer to the yes that you've been looking for the longest time. We had a guy in our self-development group about a week ago talk about how for over 6 months he's been looking for a job, and we just had about a 5-10 minute conversation of how he can apply himself a little bit more, and he just texted me today that he now has a new job. Now, there does come a point in time in which you've been doing something for so long, and you can then make a conclusion at some point, okay, I'm just trying in the wrong direction, or I'm doing the wrong things. But even if you're doing the wrong things, that doesn't mean give up. It means look for another way to find the answer that you're looking for. In my first business, it took me over 6 months to actually really see any growth within it. But before that 6 to 9 month period really hit, when I was actually starting to make exponential growth, I could have said to myself, this isn't really working. Let me just stop and go to my plan B or try something else. That's a no-go. You need to make a decision to go all in on your life, whatever that means for you. Make a decision that you are going to grow in your life, and you are not going to let anything get in your way during that process. And, well, when stuff inevitably does get in the way, you always ask yourself, how am I going to get through this, instead of, am I going to get through this? When you use limiting words in your vocabulary, you're essentially telling your creative mind to shut off and sit in misery. So words like should, I need to, maybe, you should throw these out of your list of words to really ever say again. Instead of need, I want. Instead of I need, I can. These little shifts at first may not seem like much, but very quickly you see the growth that comes from it because of the physiological response your body actually gives you, because you're telling yourself positive affirmations instead of how the hell am I ever gonna figure this out in my life. I was overly stressing myself out of how I'm going to build multiple things at once, and then I realized I was really boiling things down to 10,000 tasks when they were really just 3 big ones, and I was overcomplicating things. So ask yourself in your life, whenever you're struggling to figure something out, is the answer to the question actually simple and I'm just overlooking it? Because most of the time the answer is going to be yes. Every time you find yourself overly stressed, you got to really ask yourself, is what you're stressing about very logical or not? When you realize most of your stress is illogical, you can allow it to go to the wayside and take the action that's required to get you to the next step. And a little bit of the stress comes along with you, but a lot of the natural confidence that you need to get past that stress and onto the next layer is really essentially by taking more action. The times in my life that I feel most stressed is when I'm thinking the most and doing the least. Thinking is absolutely essential, of course, but think about how many thoughts you have on a daily basis and how most of them don't really serve you, and they're not leading you any closer to your goals or happiness or contentment or fulfilling relationships or a fulfilling relationship with yourself. Once you can really identify all of these recurring thoughts that you keep having, you can bring your consciousness into the equation. And so when these come up, you can sit there, analyze them, and say, okay, I don't need to keep thinking, I just need to do this one thing that I've been putting off. One thing you can also do to minimize a little bit of stress in your life is by priming your mind in the morning. When you wake up, think about a few things that you're grateful for, and what this is going to do is get you in a little bit of a more positive mood, and hold on to that positivity and tell yourself, I'm not going to let anything today destroy this. No matter what comes my way, I'm going to figure it out. And then later in the day, when something comes up, you'll realize, oh, I can make it through this. Oh, I can find the solution. Oh, I'm a creative being and I'm going to find the answer. Instead of like what you usually do, and oh my God, this is why I'll never be enough, and this is why I can't do this thing, this is why I'm not skilled enough about my passion, and this is why my career is never going to go in the way that I want it to. You start to really eliminate these limiting beliefs and the negative thoughts that you have very often, and even you may not even completely rid yourself of them entirely, but when they come up, you can notice them. And what I really like to do is, when this stress comes up, take a really deep breath and ask myself if the stress is serving me. Most of the time the answer is no, and then you can invite some more positive thoughts into your mind and more productive thoughts. The reason it's so hard to break these emotional patterns is because they're tied to emotions. A lot of the thought patterns that we have are tied to anger, frustration, guilt, shame, sadness. And there's a little bit of comfortability actually within that. And so usually your brain isn't thinking productively, how do I get rid of the stress? How do I not feel angry anymore? You usually just soak in it and sit there, and then you feel like you're not making any progress, because what? You're not taking any action, you're just sitting in the emotional experience. Now, yes, there are times where you should simply sit in the emotional experience and experience it. You don't want to neglect the emotion, but you can use it in an outlet. For example, a lot of people's outlet for a certain level of anger can be the gym. It's hard to think super angry thoughts and be mad at yourself all the time when you have a bunch bunch of weight on you. But don't confuse this for using something positive as a coping mechanism, because people also use the gym as a coping mechanism. They have all these negative thoughts, all this built up anger. They go to the gym, relieve it for the evening, then they wake up feeling angry the next day, then go to the gym, and they do the cycle over and over again, never addressing the actual root cause of the anger. So these thoughts and emotional experiences you're having, and the emotions that are tied to the specific recurring thoughts that are happening every single day that are plummeting you into a negative spiral, you have to ask yourself, where is this stemming from? Is it from my parents? Is it from my childhood? Is it from my relationship partners? Is it from something that I did or didn't do yesterday? Once you can really identify what that is, it's going to be a lot easier to tackle the thought, separate it from the emotion, and start to be on your way to feeling a lot better about yourself by doing the things that you need to do. When you're experiencing stress, it needs somewhere to go. Allow it to flow. When you constantly feel stressed and you constantly sit in your head, the stress simply manifests itself throughout your body. You may pace back and forth, you may shake your leg, you may be moving your arms and your fingers, you may be playing with something. I do this still. The energy needs somewhere to go, so give it somewhere to go. Go on a walk, go to the gym, do something physical, and engage your creative mind in it as well. Sometimes it's difficult for me to just sit down and think, so what I like to do instead sometimes is journal and write out the things that I'm dealing with, or actually physically talking. You know, it's really interesting how sometimes when you're talking about something, you find the answer, but if you sit and talk to yourself in your mind for 3 hours, you get no progress. Stop allowing everything to sit up here. Stop letting the stress continue to manifest. Put it out somewhere. Have a conversation with somebody. Write it out. Go for a walk. Allow the energy to move. Stop constricting yourself. And when you're stressed out about that thing at work, it's probably because you're simply not doing what you need to do. And you know what you already need to do. You're just not doing it. Because you've somehow convinced yourself that you could do it tomorrow, or that you can put it off for a week, and then you end up just stressing yourself out more. So you need to put systems in place and really schedule things out so that you can actually do these things in a timely manner, get the shit done that you need to get done, and stop feeling so stressed out about everything in your life. Your stress is not the cause, it's the symptom. Address the root cause, and you'll be on your way to taking that stress and turning it into positive action. I hope you got a ton of value from this. If you're into self-development, improving your relationships, advancing spiritually, I run a group community of men focused on all of these things, and we hop on a few group calls each week together, hold each other accountable, learn new knowledge together, reach the best versions of ourselves. If that sounds like it could be beneficial for you, there's 2 links in the description. One leads you to our group's page. The other one is a call to book in with me personally for about 15-20 minutes for us to talk about everything together, get clear on your goals, and see if you'd like to join up on us. Also, the cool thing is it's completely free to get started in the group. I'll see you guys in there.